In October, the Polish Air Force evacuated over 1,500 Polish citizens and foreign nationals from Israel. The Polish embassy has provided Israeli institutions with a list of Polish citizens in the Gaza Strip and has been pressing for their immediate departure. Roughly 1,100 people have left the Gaza Strip through the Rafah crossing since Wednesday under an apparent agreement among the United States, Egypt, Israel and Qatar, which mediates with Hamas. We communicate to our partners that this is a priority for us. There are between 5,000 and 6,000 citizens of other countries in the same situation. Several hundred people managed to escape at a rate of several dozen people a day. The evacuation from Gaza started only on the 1st of November because the preparations took so long. Unfortunately, it was suspended again 2 days ago. Israel and Egypt indicate that this happened due to the actions of Hamas, which is blocking the border crossing in Rafah. Our diplomatic services are ready to pick them up at the border. Israel has accused Hamas of using a hospital as a shield for an underground complex. The Israeli military on Monday accused Hamas militants of building a whole tunnel system under the Sheikh Hamad Hospital in Gaza. The practice of using hospitals as civilian shields has been absolutely normal for the militants, IDF spokesperson Jonathan Conricus said. United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken discussed with his Turkish counterpart Hakan Fidan efforts to expand humanitarian efforts in Gaza to prevent the conflict in the region from spreading and to seek a lasting peace between Israel and Palestine. Speaking at the airport in Ankara after talks with Fidan, Blinken said it would be seen in the coming days that the humanitarian assistance can expand in significant ways.
And of course we discussed the crisis in Gaza, and including the efforts to significantly expand humanitarian assistance to people in need, efforts to prevent the conflict from spreading to other parts of the region, and what we can do to set the conditions for a durable, sustainable, lasting peace for Israelis and Palestinians. On the humanitarian piece, I think we've made some good progress in recent days in working to expand that. Ambassador Satterfield remains in the region working that every single day. We've also had very important conversations throughout this trip with countries in the region on the role that everyone can play in making sure that the conflict doesn't expand, doesn't spread to other countries. And of course, we remain very focused on the hostages held by Hamas, including Americans, in making sure we're doing everything possible to bring them home. All of this is a work in progress. Look, we know the deep concern here for the terrible toll that Gaza is taking on Palestinians, on men, women, and children in Gaza, innocent civilians, a concern that we share and that we're working on every single day. We've engaged the Israelis on steps that they can take to minimize civilian casualties. We're working, as I said, very aggressively on getting more humanitarian assistance into Gaza, and we have very concrete ways of doing that. And I think you'll see in the days ahead that assistance can expand in significant ways so that more gets into people who need it and gets to the people who need it, as well as making sure that people can continue to come out of Gaza. We're also very focused not only on Gaza, but what's happening in the West Bank. We've made very clear our concerns about extremist violence in the West Bank. We've heard the Israeli government make commitments on dealing more effectively with that, and we're watching very closely to make sure that happens. One of the common denominators that I've heard throughout this trip is the imperative of American engagement, American leadership. Every country I talk to is looking for us to play a leading role with our diplomacy to try to make progress on all of these different aspects of the crisis. From here, we're heading to Japan for a meeting with the G7. I'll have an opportunity to debrief my colleagues on what we've learned and what we've done during this trip, and to continue that work and carry it forward. And of course, I'll be consulting and debriefing President Biden and discussing with him the way forward in the days ahead. Covered a lot of important issues that the United States and Turkey are working on together, including the efforts to grow and expand NATO. We're very pleased that the ratification protocols were signed by President Erdogan and are now before the Turkish parliament. We talked about the important work that we're doing in support of Ukraine. Turkey has played a critical role over the last couple of years, particularly with the Black Sea Grain Initiative and trying to get food out of Ukraine, as well as supporting its electricity grid.
Blinken arrived in Turkey late on Sunday after an unannounced visit to the West Bank to meet Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, who joined international calls for an immediate ceasefire.